Welcome to the deep dive. Get ready, because today we're going deep into Star Wars lore, like way deep. We're talking about a villain that even makes Palpatine look like a womp rat.
It's true. This is one that might even have some diehard fans scrambling for their Wikipedia entries.
We're talking about Abeloth.
Abeloth. Even the name sounds kind of ominous, right?
It does, and from what I've heard, the reality is even worse. So for those of us who didn't spend our childhood memorizing every holocron entry, what's the deal with this mysterious figure?
Well, if most Star Wars villains are like a bad day at the cantina, Abeloth is a full-on supernova of the dark side.
Okay, so we're talking like threat to the entire galaxy level here, right? Not just some Sith Lord with a grudge.
Oh, it's way bigger than a grudge. Way, way bigger. We're talking about a being so powerful, it took, get this, celestial entities to even try and contain her.
Celestial entities. Wait, like the Force itself.
Yeah, like the embodiment of the Force. The ones.
You mean like the father, the son, and the daughter from the Clone Wars?
The very same.
Okay, now those are some names even casual fans might recognize. But this deep dive isn't about them, it's about their mysterious fourth, Abeloth. Where does she fit into this cosmic family portrait?
Well, before the name Abeloth, she was known as the Servant.
The servant. So like a caretaker for these powerful Force wielders.
Exactly. Now, nobody knows her true origins, but her role was to care for these three beings, the ones, on their hidden planet. Imagine that, babysitting the embodiment of the Force itself.
You okay, talk about a high-pressure nanny gig. You're basically babysitting the embodiment of the Force itself. What could possibly go wrong, right?
Well, that's just it. See, Abeloth was mortal, which means she aged. But the ones, they remained eternally young.
Oh, I see where this is going. So you've got this, what, cosmic babysitter watching over these eternally youthful beings, and she's the only one who is, well, aging like a normal person would.
Imagine the fear, the potential for abandonment, knowing that the beings you care for will outlive you by eons.
And that fear, that's what led her to make a fateful decision, right? It's
Yeah.
like the classic forbidden knowledge trope, like Pandora's box.
Exactly. Driven by desperation, she did the unthinkable. She drank from the font of power and bathed in the pool of knowledge.
Okay, hold on. Now, these sound important, but for those of us who haven't cracked open every Star Wars encyclopedia, what exactly do those do?
Imagine the font of power as a wellspring of pure dark side energy. Incredibly tempting, yes, but also incredibly corrupting. And the pool of knowledge. It holds unimaginable wisdom, but it can overwhelm a mortal mind.
So basically, she took the ultimate power shortcut and paid the price.
A terrible, terrible price. It twisted her, transforming her into something monstrous, the being we now know as Abeloth.
It sounds awful. So we've got this all-powerful, monstrous being. What did the ones, the literal embodiments of the Force do about it? I'm guessing a stern talking to wasn't going to cut it.
Not this time. Even the son, who remember embodied the dark side himself, was horrified about what she'd become. They realized they had to act, and that's where we get to the Maw.
The Maw. Okay, so before we go any further, refresh my memory. What is the Maw again?
The Maw is a cluster of black holes, an incredibly dangerous, unstable region of space. Basically, it became her prison.
Okay, so we're talking next level containment here. But how do you even begin to lock something up in a black hole? I mean, those things swallow stars. It's not like you can just build a prison cell around one.
You're right. Brute force wouldn't cut it. That's where the Killiks come in.
The Killiks. Vaguely ringing a bell.
They're essentially force-sensitive insect architects.
Huh.
The ones use the Killiks, along with their incredible technology, to manipulate those black holes, shaping them into a cosmic prison.
And the key to this super prison.
Center Point Station.
Center Point Station. Yeah, that's one Star Wars landmark I wouldn't want to add to my galactic travel itinerary. Think of it as a lock on a cage, one designed to keep Abeloth from bursting back into the galaxy whenever she pleased.
Okay, so she's locked up tight in a black hole prison, guarded by giant space bugs and a superweapon. That's got to be the end of the story, right?
Well, here's the thing about Abeloth. It's like trying to lock up a shadow. You can trap it for a while, but the moment the light flickers, she's going to find a way to slip through the cracks.
So even stuck in the Maw, she was still causing trouble. How?
Oh, remember how the Force itself was used to bind her? Well, any major disturbance in the Force, any big cosmic ripple, it could weaken those bonds.
So it's like the more chaotic the galaxy got, the more likely she was to slip free. Talk about bad timing for everyone else, right? Exactly. And her escapes weren't just about brute force. Abeloth had this terrifying ability to consume life force, to drain beings of their very essence to fuel her own power.
You're telling me she could feed off the Force itself?
The Jedi, the Sith, they all drew on the Force. She devoured it.
That's giving me chills just thinking about it. We're talking about a level of power that's like rewriting the rules of the Force, but how far back do these escapes go?
Further than you might think. There are accounts of Abeloth's influence echoing through galactic history even after Return of the Jedi.
We're going into Legends territory now, right?
This is where we dive into what's known as legends, yeah.
The what-if corner of Star Wars. But even if it's not canon anymore, it's still got those classic Star Wars chills, right?
Absolutely. In those stories, we see Abeloth mentally enslaving Force users, drawing them to her with false promises or twisted visions of love.
So she wasn't just powerful, she was manipulative, too.
Oh, she was cunning. Imagine being a Jedi sworn to uphold the light only to be manipulated by a being this ancient, this powerful, to have your very essence consumed. That's a fate worse than facing down a Death Star.
You're not kidding. But this is all legend stuff, right? She never actually went up against any of the big heroes we know, did she?
Oh, but she did. Abeloth went toe-to-toe with Luke Skywalker himself on more than one occasion.
Wait, Luke Skywalker, the guy who brought down the Emperor and redeemed Darth Vader, if he's struggling against this Abeloth, that really puts things into perspective.
And these weren't small skirmishes. We're attacking battles that threatened to consume entire star systems in darkness.
Okay, wow. We're talking about a villain on a whole other level here. But you mentioned something interesting earlier. The father, the son, the daughter, they're considered canon because of their appearance in Clone Wars, right?
Precisely.
Which begs the question, if the ones are canon, could their connection to Abeloth be far behind? Especially with shows like Ahsoka blurring the lines between legends and current canon.
It's a question a lot of fans are asking, and it leads to one very intriguing theory.
You're totally getting at what has the fans buzzing, aren't you? That theory about Abeloth and Shmi Skywalker.
No, it's a wild theory, but there are some compelling points to consider. Think about it. Shmi Skywalker's past is shrouded in mystery. We know next to nothing about her origins.
True. And wasn't there always something a bit off about Anakin's conception? Like, immaculate conception in a galaxy far, far away always seemed a little too convenient, even for Star Wars.
Exactly. Add to that the themes of motherhood and abandonment that define both Abeloth and Shmi. Both raised children who were incredibly powerful in the Force, and both experienced profound loss and loneliness.
And let's not forget, there's the whole other theory that the father from Mortis might actually be Anakin's biological father.
Which, if true, would mean that Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, might actually be descended from that.
Okay, now my head is spinning. We're talking about rewriting the entire Skywalker saga. But let's say, just for argument's sake, that the Shmi Skywalker theory is true. What would that mean for Anakin? What does it say about the prophecy about his destiny?
Well, for starters, it would mean that Anakin's importance goes far beyond simply bringing balance to the Force. He might represent that balance itself, a living embodiment of both the light and dark sides inherited from his parents.
A living embodiment of balance. Whoa. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. But even if we, hit pause on the whole Shmi Skywalker theory, the fact that Abeloth could be canon again is huge E, right? Especially with what we're seeing in shows like Ahsoka.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We've got Baylan Skoll and his crew, right? They're searching for a pathway to another galaxy, one they believe holds some kind of ancient power.
And they're dropping some serious hints that this power is, well, a little more intense than your average Force wielder.
Right. So what if that power? What if it's Abeloth? What if they're trying to unleash her on a galaxy still recovering from, well, everything the Empire put it through?
Yeah. Okay, now that's just terrifying. We saw how Palpatine's return threw the entire galaxy into chaos. And we're talking about something potentially older and way more powerful than him. Like, she makes Palpatine look like a training remote.
Exactly. And think about the implications for characters like Ahsoka and Sabine. They're already dealing with threats from their past, but going up against a being like Abeloth, that's not just a fight, it's a confrontation with the very fabric of the Source itself.
You know, I gotta say, I kind of love these fan theories, even if they never become official canon. It's like they make you see these stories, these characters in a whole new way. And it's exciting to think that there are still mysteries to uncover in the Star Wars galaxy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
There's a real thrill in piecing together these connections. It's like a giant galactic puzzle, right?
Yeah.
But whether or not Shmi Skywalker turns out to be Abeloth, the possibility of a villain like her, a villain of that scale emerging, it's both exciting and terrifying at the same time.
No kidding. And I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so unsettling, right? It reminds us that no matter how much we think we know about the Force, it still holds secrets. Secrets that could rewrite everything we thought we knew.
Well, that's the beauty of Star Wars, isn't it? There's always something more to explore. Always another mystery to unravel.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the mystery of Abeloth. A huge thanks to our expert for taking us on this journey into the shadows of the Force.
My pleasure. Always a blast to chat Star Wars.
And to all you listeners out there, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Remember, the galaxy is a big place, and there are always more stories to uncover. So, until next time, keep exploring, keep those theories coming, and may the Force be with you.